Giztalk presents. Why most smartphones don't have removable batteries anymore. Though modern smartphones offer a wealth of features, one con is that their batteries are usually non-removable. Let's explore why. Up until the early 2010s, it was normal for phones to have removable batteries. However, as the iPhone with its non-removable battery became more popular, more and more manufacturers followed suit. Eventually, even laptop manufacturers stopped making removable battery devices. But why is this so? And is this a good thing for us consumers? Let's investigate below. Why non-removable batteries became necessary. As consumers demanded more sophisticated smartphones, manufacturers had no choice but to make sacrifices to comply with the latest trends. That's because these light and slim all-screen designs became sales hits, allowing companies to make more money for their investors. Let's look at some of the features smartphones now integrate which necessitated the non-removable battery. Despite all the development in battery technology, batteries are still inherently dangerous. That's because they store energy between cathode and anode electrodes, separated by a thin electrolyte. If these electrodes somehow come into direct contact, it would cause a short circuit and generate a lot of heat. This condition, in turn, would create even more heat, leading to a runaway thermal reaction and could result in the battery bursting into flames or exploding. For this reason, a removable battery needs a hard plastic case to prevent accidental damage, especially when it's not connected to a phone. This kind of case adds to the bulk and weight of a smartphone. So, when consumers wanted a slimmer, lighter design, one of the solutions engineers came up with was to install a permanent battery. By ensuring you cannot remove the battery, engineers made the smartphone's case and chassis serve as its protection instead. The introduction of lithium-ion and lithium polymer batteries allowed smartphones to last longer on a single charge. So, despite the increased battery consumption of more powerful chips and better screens, the concurrent development of battery material and capacity allowed smartphones to last all day. This increased capacity means users no longer need a spare battery to swap out in the middle of the day. Furthermore, advancements in charging technology mean batteries can now go from empty to full in less than an hour. And for users who need to top up on the go, both smartphone and smartphone accessory makers offer power banks that will let you recharge your device, even when you're away from the outlet. These devices range from small single-charge power banks to large, 20,000 mAh devices that could power your smartphone all week. As smartphones became more expensive, with flagship devices reaching 4-digit prices, consumers demanded that they last longer and have more robust protection. After all, if you're paying a month's salary for a phone, it should withstand everyday wear and tear, including protection against accidental drops in water. That's why smartphone makers harden their devices by sealing the outer case. But when they sealed the phone, users lost access to replaceable batteries. Besides, it's challenging to create a thin and light device with a closed outer case. If you look at waterproof cameras, you'll see that it has a thick battery door secured by thick rubber gaskets. If you apply the same solution to a smartphone, you can say goodbye to its small, pocketable form factor. Another side effect of increasing phone prices is its increased desirability, especially among thieves. After all, these devices are highly mobile, so they're easy to steal and resell. Furthermore, smartphones now contain a lot of highly sensitive personal data, allowing bad actors to steal more than just your hardware, but even your financial information. That's why many smartphone makers now allow passive device tracking, even if you switch your phone off. This feature allows you to track your device and acts as a deterrent against smartphone theft. However, removing the smartphone's battery removes its power source, effectively killing its tracking capability. Keeping batteries sealed inside your phone's case makes it nearly impossible to remove without equipment and expertise, thus allowing you to track it even when you've switched it off. The cons of having a non-removable battery. Despite all the advantages non-removable batteries bring us, we still lose some functionality and features with them. Here are a few. If you're the outdoors type of person who spends days or weeks out in the wild, or a frequent flyer who spends days flying between countries, that means you'll have limited access to charging outlets. If you have a phone with a replaceable battery, you would probably bring around an extra spare battery or two for your device. But now that batteries are essentially permanent parts of your phone, you'll have to bring around a power bank. While power banks provide backup power for your devices, they take time to juice up your phone, especially if they're not the newest models. Even if you have the latest fast charging power bank and smartphone, you still have to wait about 30 minutes to an hour to get your phone fully charged. If you have a replaceable battery, swapping out the empty battery with a fully charged one will take a minute at most. Furthermore, even smaller mid-sized power banks are way bulkier than slim spare batteries, adding more weight and consuming more space in your bag. Bloat danger. Despite the advancements in battery technology, there's still a chance that your smartphone's battery can bloat. When this happens, you have to replace it as soon as possible, as the battery's safety is already compromised. With a replaceable battery, removing the old bloated battery and installing a new one is a simple process. But since most smartphones have a permanent battery, you now have to bring your device to an authorized service center to replace it. Furthermore, when a permanent battery bloats, it can also damage your phone's external casing and chassis. When a bloated battery forces the case to crack open, it can damage the screws and glue holding it together and remove any ingress protection your phone had. Bad for right to repair. One of the biggest issues in the tech world today is right to repair. And while permanent batteries give us sleek, modern devices, it doesn't do well for this movement. That's because permanent batteries make it harder for third-party repair shops to fix broken phones, especially when the manufacturer uses glue and adhesives to permanently bond the battery to the phone chassis. A removable battery is simply easier to repair. Unless smartphone manufacturers develop ways to make it easier to remove batteries without requiring heat to melt the adhesive or tweezers to pull it out, a permanent battery will remain challenging to repair. Most consumers don't want removable batteries. While some complain publicly about the lack of removable batteries, the truth is most consumers are happy with the current arrangement. After all, smartphone makers don't add or remove features just for the sake of it. These changes go through months, if not years, of study and consultations. Furthermore, it's our wallets that do the talking. Despite losing features like the removable battery and the headphone jack, we still buy these devices. In fact, sales of these models have even increased. For many users, losing the removable battery is a small price to pay in exchange for features like thinner form factors and IP ratings. So, is the loss of the removable good for users? For most of us, apparently, it is. Giztalk presents the most common reasons why your phone battery is draining so fast. Sometimes it feels like you're charging your phone for hours only to have it die in half the time. There are several things that can eat away at your battery without you even realizing it, and taking control of them can keep your battery fuller for longer. Here are the most common causes of a quick draining phone battery. High display brightness. We'll start with one of the more obvious causes for a dying phone battery: screen brightness. It may seem convenient to have your brightness on max, especially when you're outside, but this has a huge effect on your battery. What's more, having your phone on maximum brightness while using light mode drains your battery further. So, where possible, keep your screen brightness to a minimum to save that extra bit of battery life. But a dimmer screen isn't always convenient, especially if you have impaired eyesight or you're in an area of high light exposure. So, what else can you do instead of lowering your screen's brightness? One alternative is to switch your phone and frequently used apps, such as Instagram and Facebook Messenger, to dark mode. This doesn't darken your phone screen drastically but switches your phone's standard white menu and app backgrounds to black. You'd be surprised how much battery this can save without compromising on brightness. Background apps. Background apps essentially function even when you're not directly using them. Examples include VPN, antivirus, health, and calendar apps. These apps monitor or control certain aspects of your phone without you intervening, which while convenient drains the battery significantly. What's more, you probably don't need a good number of these apps to be working in the background. So, how can you do this? As shown above, head into your settings and click on Device Care, Android or Battery, iPhone. Then, you should see the battery optimization option, which, if activated, will close down any unnecessary background apps. This could end up saving you a good chunk of battery life, so it's worth considering. Picture-in-picture mode. If you use YouTube Premium, Twitch, or a similar app on your phone, you may have used picture-in-picture mode before. This involves watching any video or stream in a small viewing box on your screen while using other apps. While this is convenient, using multiple apps simultaneously like this can drain your phone battery. So, you can either turn off picture-in-picture mode by going into the advanced settings of your chosen app and disabling the picture-in-picture option. Staying connected 24/7. It might seem like a no-brainer to keep your Wi-Fi or data activated at all hours so that you can keep connected day and night. But this can significantly drain your phone battery, as you're constantly getting notifications, background updates, and more when you don't necessarily need them. During your sleeping hours is a great time to switch off your Wi-Fi. Of course, you could simply switch your phone to airplane mode. But, if you're worried about missing an urgent call, you can instead turn off your Wi-Fi and data so that you can still accept phone calls. You can do this by going into your phone's Wi-Fi and mobile data settings and deactivating both. Keep in mind that switching your phone to Do Not Disturb mode does not turn off your Wi-Fi or data. An old phone battery. Sometimes, it's not an app or a setting that affects your phone's battery life but the battery itself. As with everything, phones get old, and as the years go by, your battery won't be as good as it once was. After about 2 or 3 years, depending on the model of the phone, your battery will no longer be able to achieve its original maximum capacity, which can lead to a quick draining phone. So, what can be done about this? The first and most obvious option is battery replacement. This is usually far cheaper than a total smartphone replacement and could fix your draining battery problem quickly and easily. Battery prices will vary depending on the specific phone you have. The other option, of course, is to replace your phone entirely. You may be at the point where it's not just the battery that's lost its edge, and so opting for a replacement might just be the more convenient option. Location tracking apps. There are a huge number of apps that can track your location. Google Maps, Bumble, Deliveroo, retail apps, the lot. And, while you may think these apps solely track your location when you're directly using them, this isn't always the case. This constant location monitoring requires energy and can take a toll on your phone's battery life. The portable hotspot is on. All functions like a portable hotspot, screen mirroring, Wi-Fi display, Bluetooth, etc., consume a big amount of power. Most of them are automatically turned off when there are no connected devices, but some of the devices need to be turned off manually, so keep this in mind. So, how can this be avoided? The easiest way to deactivate location tracking is to turn off your phone's location altogether. This can be done in your phone's drop-down menu or in settings via the location option. However, if you want certain apps, maybe a safety or navigation app, to keep tracking your location, you can disable location tracking individually via the permissions section of each app's settings. Doing so might take you a while, but it'll give you total control over which apps do and don't have access to your real-time location. Additional tips and tricks. On top of the suggestions listed above, there are a couple of extra ways you can give your phone's battery a helping hand. Firstly, try to use the original charger your phone came with when charging it, as this will have a greater chance of allowing the battery to reach optimum capacity. This could also help with charging speed. It's also a good idea to check which apps are eating up the most of your battery life, which can be done in your phone's settings in the battery section. You'd be surprised at which apps are taking a huge toll on your phone's battery life, and limiting their permissions or usage could prove to be hugely beneficial. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.